What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Define Your Legacy. I'm your host, Theus Elijah McBee, and today's guest, we have my brother James. What's going on, man? How you doing, bro?
What's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling great, man. Another blessed day to be alive. You know, it's always good to talk with you, man.
So that's every day, man. That's every day now.
I'm about to say, we always have conversations, very powerful and meaningful conversations, but today, obviously, it'll be recorded, so it'll be in the world for forever, man. So it's good.
Hey, man, I have to remind myself that we're on the podcast because, like you said, we have these so often. I'm just so used to it. We go on for like 3 hours with these type of conversations. So
yeah. And it's always good combo. You know what I'm saying? And it's important to have, good conversations with your friends, as we all know. Obviously, we talk about, basketball and things like that, but it's also important too to have conversations that can have a lasting impact. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just glad that this one can finally be
100%.
recorded. And now we can, forever, if there's ever a time where we want to, check back on this video, it'll always be there. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm looking forward to it, bro.
Let's get it, man.
What, 5 years from now, when we look back at this, it was like, man, either we're gonna be like, man, we were preaching early on, or looking back like, what the hell were we talking about?
It'll probably be you know what I'm saying, right? A little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of both. But that comes with life. You know what I'm saying? You learn.
Yep.
So for those that may not know who you are and stuff like that, just kind of give a little intro about what it is and who you are and everything like that.
Yep. So James Randle, originally from Chicago. You got to start off with that. Of course, the city that raised me. I currently work at the NBA in our global partnerships group at the league office. So I've been at the league for a little over 5 years now. Started in August of 2016. So spent a lot of time rotating through different groups of the league and kind of netted out in our global partnerships department. So, handle a lot of different accounts, different partnerships and different things like that. But, my interests kind of go all out from the corporate world and kind of spreading outside of that. And as of late, has been more so kind of like the financial realm in terms of stocks, in terms of, even crypto. It really varies. And I think that's where a lot of people's attention is at this point, to be honest with you. A lot of people see that they can make a lot of money outside of this, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But that's something that I'm, aligned with as well in terms of my own personal goals. So, obviously, as you mentioned before, love basketball as well. And basketball's been a huge part of my life. Wanted to be a part of the league and really be in the NBA since I was a kid. So being on a different side of it was something that I didn't necessarily see it being exactly like this, but I'm happy that, life has kind of led me to this path and where I am now.
And I was waiting for you to say this one specific word. It starts with an S. Syracuse, bro. Do you want to talk about, you attending that university?
You're wearing the UConn shirt, so I was like, I didn't want to bring it up because I knew we had this conversation. It was going to derail the whole conversation. But yes, I graduated from Syracuse University, class of 2016. The best university in the country. One of the best basketball programs in the world as well. But proud to say that. Go Orange. If I had it my way, Theus would not have been wearing the UConn shirt today. But I guess I'll let it slide. Since this is your podcast, bro, I'll let it slide.
You see.
I purposely didn't bring it up because I didn't want to get into that whole conversation.
You know what's going to happen. This is planned. This is definitely planned.
I know. I should have worn the Syracuse shirt. I don't know why I didn't think about it coming on.
It's all good, bro. This interview wouldn't have happened if you wore it. So that's God's plan. But nah. So speaking of college, obviously, just let everyone know how we met. It was through the NBA internship program, right? We were both interns for the NBA. So could you kind of just talk about what that kind of meant to you to be selected as an intern and how that kind of started your career, if you will?
Yeah, it was crazy looking back at it, to be honest. I mean, being one of, it was like 50 something interns or whatever the case would be. And you know how slim that chance is to even get to that point. But for me, it really kind of started the whole foundation for me and really validated the fact that, a kid out of Chicago, struggling growing up financially, parents didn't have anything, bounced around from home to home, had no one who had any type of background in terms of like being in corporate America or anything of that nature. And it really justified the fact that all the work that I put in leading up to it, was validated. But then also I made sure, like, for me, it was like I could really do this. Because, it's one of those things, man, where hell, you can hope and you can pray, you can do all this stuff in terms of saying, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or I want to be able to get to this point. But until it actually happens, it's just, it's a lot of talking. You kind of start doubting yourself and all of that. I think I was at that point at one point in my life. But when I got that opportunity to be a part of the internship program, which is a crazy story in itself. But like when I got to that point, it really kind of helped me say, okay, you know what? Put that battery in my back to kind of go forward in my life and say, all right, this is really feasible and I can really change not just my life, my family's life as well.
And so like, did you ever, I guess, during the internship and even prior towards applying, did you ever have doubt or just overall hesitate? Was it ever surreal to just say like, wow, like I'm really here? You know what I'm saying? Like I really made it to this stage, this early in your life too.
Yeah. I had a lot of points where I had that specific thought where I'm just like, I can't believe that I'm really here and I made it. Hell, the first day we got in and we walk into the office and I'm just like, this is really crazy. We're really in the NBA league office right now. Obviously watching all the games, reading up on everything, and to be a part of all behind the scenes stuff that goes into it was just crazy in itself. And obviously like attending certain things, like we went to the NBA draft, right? And being able to do that type of stuff and you're seeing, the Barclays Center and just being able to be behind the scenes and, you're right by the stage. That was in 2015. So seeing like Karl Anthony Towns drafted with the first overall pick, it was just crazy. It was just surreal, but it felt right. And that was the first time in my life where I'm just like, I felt like, and not the first time in my life where I necessarily felt this way, but I really felt like I belonged. And I'm like, this is where I was supposed to be. And part of it was speaking into existence. I had been praying and saying I was going to be in the NBA since I was 5, to be honest. Like, and every single night I remember like praying, like, God, please let me be in the NBA so I can take care of my family and blah, 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 blah. And, obviously when I hit the age where I realized actually playing wasn't feasible, that went out the window. But he was preparing me to say, all right, cool. Like, this is the path that I'm actually going to get you to the league. You're going to get there, but you're going to get there my way. And, I'm blessed to be able to have been in that position. But yeah, bro, it was crazy. I mean, it really was surreal, to be honest with you. That whole experience, and it was one of the best summers of my life.
Yeah, man. Fun time for that summer, man. I remember it like it was yesterday, to be honest. So it's kind of crazy to think that really is how we met. You know what I'm saying? I think the numbers, like you said, were crazy. It was like one of like 55 to be selected, and then like over like 3,000 applied. And so that process overall was,
and mind you, bro, we're 2 Black men. The odds are already slim at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't know anyone really coming in. It's not like we were necessarily referred or anything like that. Like it was luck of the draw to an extent. And I think that really changed both of our lives, to be honest. And obviously, we met a lot of great people during the process too.
And so speaking of that though, what does it mean to you to be a Black man working in corporate America?
It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's on one hand, you take a lot of pride in it because you realize how rare it is. You realize the importance of you being in corporate America because of the potential impact and opportunity that you can provide for other people, specifically people who don't necessarily have the connections that a lot of these other people do. Hell, like for me growing up, I wish I would have had somebody that could reach back and say like, hey, this is how you do it, or here's a step-by-step process to, try to get you on the right path, instead of having to figure it out on your own. But it's important to be in that position. And really, I'll say it like this, it's really important to actually take advantage of the fact that you're in this position so you can pass it back on to other people.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing, to be honest, because being Black in corporate America is not easy at all. Like every single day, there are times where I'm just like, damn, do I really want to do this? Does it really make sense? Is it for me? It's not my culture here. You have to code switch to an extent, and even though I'm kind of past that at this point, but like it's just trying to learn all of that stuff that you're not necessarily taught or equipped, with as you kind of go through the process. And that was probably the most challenging thing. And I think the thing that a lot of young people, especially, young Black people in corporate America initially go through. It's not easy. It's really not.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. The idea of like passing down, you know what I'm saying? That's why the whole name of the show, Define Your Legacy, just encouraging the idea of passing down education and passing down, wisdom down to the next generation so that way, I'm saying, they're prepared. But speaking of the next generation, obviously we talk about college. You went to Syracuse. I went to UConn. What are your thoughts on student loans? Now, I'm gonna keep that question real simple. What are your thoughts, generally speaking, of course, on student loans?
Well, I hate them, but I'll say this. I mean, the overall structure of student loans and the way in which it's set up is, I mean, it's a scam, the reality
Mm,
of it, right? But obviously, on the flip side, it was helpful to an extent because it allowed for me to
mm,
be able to actually afford to go to school. If I didn't have those loans, right, to help me pay off college, I would not have been able to afford to go, unfortunately. So the thing is, yes, this is it's the negative side of it in terms of you shouldn't even be in the position to have to pay that much, right? Like I think it gets a whole discussion on that side of it where it's just like, why are we paying so much to go to universities? It should be cheaper. It should be
mhm.
much easier for Americans to even be able to, afford to go to college because really it's a privilege to be able to go and it shouldn't be. It should be a right to be able to
Mhm,
afford a good education.
mhm,
But student loans overall, man, it's ridiculous. I mean, the interest rates, the fact that you're signing up for these loans so young, you don't even know what you're really signing up
mm.
for. And you get yourself in a situation where it's going to affect your credit score. It affects your own financial freedom down the line and your ability to achieve that. And it's something that you essentially almost end up paying for the rest of your life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's ridiculous. Obviously there's some potential, legislative opportunities that the president can decide to do in terms of, going through an executive order in order to actually eliminate up to $50,000 of each American's federal student loans, which would be amazing. And
My
rooting
man got the
for.
exact numbers. My man's been researching. My
Come
man
on,
is
man.
ready.
Come on,
Hey,
man.
man.
It's the podcast. You got to be ready with your numbers.
Hey, man, be real. Do you think
Yeah.
Joe
Talk to me.
Biden is going to cancel all student loan debt? Do you think that's going to actually happen?
Um, when you say, well, he has the ability to cancel up to $50,000. So do I think that he's going
Do
to
you
do the
think he
50,000?
will do it?
No, not the full 50. I just don't think he's going to do the full 50. But
Mm,
I do think that he will use the executive order in order to eliminate a portion of that. He originally came out saying he wants to do $10,000 and have
mm,
it actually come from Congress. So then he would have to sign it, which would be damn near impossible because Congress never aligns on anything. But essentially, if I think there's just so much momentum at this point, you see other Democrats at this stage pushing for him to actually do it. And I think at the moment they're in the process of creating a memo in order to have him
mm,
review his ability to actually do it. But I think there will be some type of middle ground where it's like, okay, well, I'll eliminate $30,000 of student loans via an executive order and go that route. I do think we're heading there, and I just think there's so much momentum, from Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, and some of the other Democrats
mm.
who've really been pushing for this, where it seems very likely that we'll get to that point. But we'll see. It's politics, so you never know. And I know I'm more optimistic than you on this,
Facts.
because
I was saying, look,
I mean, talk to the people, bro. Like let them know what you think. I know you feel a little bit differently than I do.
hey, man, look, in this case, I'm just the host, you know what I'm saying, asking the question, but best believe. But you know what, look, one thing that you did touch on is the idea of interest, right? And so right
Sure.
now, I think most loans are interest free, and you don't have to pay them right now if you don't want to, all this and that. So what's your overall, I guess, approach or strategy in terms of paying off loans with 0% versus investing? Because obviously you always have that two options.
Yeah.
Are you want to attack debt, or are you want to just say, you know what, no, I'm trying to, increase capital. I'm trying to, invest, and
Yeah, I think for the longest I've been I'll put it this way. It depends on the debt,
mm,
right? So for me with student loans, I treat that differently than my credit card debt,
mhm,
right? So for example, like with credit card debt, even when I first took out a credit card, and I have, a few of them now, but I, I'm paying off my total amount due every month, right? So I never will go crazy and splurge and say, all right, let me spend. I'm making this up, but like $10,000 on my credit card for this month, and then I'll just pay off the minimum payment, and then just kind of gradually pay it off with interest on top, or wherever the case
mhm,
might be. I'm only going to buy things on my credit card that I can that I can already pay off with my debit card. So that way I don't end up with a crazy amount on my credit card bill that ends up accruing interest over time, right? So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but if that's the case, then why even use a credit card in the first place?
Because that helps to build your credit, right? So
And that was
there's
a
a
layup
big
question, by the way. Okay, that was
yeah. No,
hey.
no, of course, but there's a lot of people that don't really know, right? Don't understand it.
Right.
And I was one of those people, right? Like when I was younger, I'm like, why would I even want a credit card if I'm gonna have to pay it back and pay more via interest? And
Mm-hmm.
what sense does that make? But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, it's important because you need to build your credit, and credit cards are one of the ways in which you can do that. So it's a safe way to increase your credit gradually over time without putting yourself in a hole. And I think that's the important thing that people should realize as well with that. But to your original question in terms of attacking debt, versus like building capital via stocks or investments or whatever the case might be. So that's how I treat credit cards. For my student loans, for example, personally, I don't know, every person does it differently, but I, pay at the time prior to the pause that was put on it on, interest for student loans, I was paying the minimum, right? The minimum payment every month that I had to for student loans would throw that, say, okay, cool, that's going to get paid. And the rest of my money I would either save or invest. Because for me, I would rather use that money to build up capital than trying to attack my student loans that I know is going to take forever to even pay off anyway, or not a significant chunk. And personally, I was keeping track of all the politics and stuff that were going on behind this, some of the student loan reform.
Man,
And I
just
saw this in the
monitoring
background.
hey, they're gonna cancel these loans.
Exactly. I'm like, listen, if there's even a chance that they cancel these loans, let me just kind of wait before I say, let me get too aggressive with trying to take, wipe these out, because they might do it for me. And I can keep that money in my pocket versus having quote unquote thrown it away by paying off my loans.
Cause just imagine, bro, all the people that's, trying to pay up all their student loan debt, attack it or whatever. And then September 29th comes or whenever, it ends. And then they just decide to cancel it. It's like, that's bread that you could have said. Because my thing is, I doubt the government is going to say, you know what, you did the smart thing. Let's give you your money back. But that's not happening.
No,
the government is about to be like, you know what, hey, we noticed, you spent a little bit more energy towards paying off your student loan. We're gonna give you a thank you. We're gonna give you a refund.
Right.
I don't see that happening.
No,
so that's even more reason why, investing over, paying off debt with 0% interest specifically, is usually more of a good opportunity.
I agree.
So what are, I guess, some things that you would typically consider investing in? I know the stock market now is a very popular one, but is that something that you've kind of tapped into?
Yeah, 100%. Stock market is a big one at this point for me. I've tapped into crypto a little bit as of late. One of the ones I really want to get involved with at some point down the line as I continue to build more capital is real estate. Stocks and real estate are key to really building financial wealth, like real generational wealth and and achieving financial freedom. And so being educated on those two opportunities, number one, and then the second piece is making sure that you are prepared to execute, right? Because you can come with a good plan, you can be smart, you can be educated, but when you're in the trenches and you have to have an understanding as far as what's going on and be able to react quickly, all that preparation will be needed for that moment, because you're going to have to be able to react quickly with certain situations, whether it's, in real estate, if there's one opportunity that becomes available for you and you got to act quickly, you have 2 days to decide what you want to do, whether you want to buy a property to be able to flip it or wherever the case might be. That's great. But are you going to do it or not? Are you going to pull the trigger? You know all the stuff in your head. Are you really going to do it? And on stocks, it's the same way. It's like, okay, great. Let's say I'm up in terms of my position in the stock, and okay, should I take this profit? It's 20% profit, or should I leave it in? And it's just like that decision. All the information, but do you really want to do it or not? And it's just important to kind of have that foundation as you look to go through these means to make more, income.
And in saying that, though, I think a good topic to address is the idea of like greed and emotion, right? So like, obviously, for the record, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? But if you're up like 20%, or if you're up 100%, or if you're up 1%, are you an emotional person when it comes to investing your money? I just want to know.
I laugh because I think back to when I first got into investing. And I really remember this. It was DraftKings. I had just learned about stocks. I was just getting into it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do day trading. I'm trying to day trade real quick. And all right, DraftKings, when I get in, I'm going to put in I don't remember how much I put in. It wasn't a lot. I was putting in a little bit of money, and then hopefully it goes up and I can make like, $100 in one day off this play, or $80 or whatever, and then pull out and go from there. And then the moment I got in, it just dropped. This is really early in the morning, like right when the stock market opened, and it dropped, and I'm just panicking. Oh my God, I'm down $40. I'm down $60. Oh my God, I don't want to go down lower. And it ended up going back up to like $40 of a loss. And I was like, let me just pull out. I don't want it to go down too much, and panicking. And that's the thing, right? To go back to what we were just talking about, I had the information. I kind of knew what the game plan was, right? I knew what I was trying to do. But when it comes to actually executing it, it's a little bit different when you're in the moment. And I panicked. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was the dumbest thing in the world to do at the time, to pull out in like 40 minutes after putting my money in. But it's what happens when you're in the
oh man, 40 minutes, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy, bro. It was probably like 40 minutes or an hour or something like that. It was something stupid. It was something stupid.
But that's the thing, though, that I kind of tell to like new, I guess, traders or investors, is that like when you're emotionally tied like to the money that you have in the market, usually it doesn't end well. You know what I'm saying? I know, obviously, like I said, investing in the stock market is starting to become more popular and more trendy, but stocks can always move three ways. You feel me? Up, down, and side to side. So just kind of being prepared. So what was the lesson that you learned from that?
To not be so emotional, man, and to come prepared, right? Like, and to answer your question in terms of my emotional, like with stocks, no, I'm not anymore. After that day, I learned my lesson. But because it's important, right? Because I think when you come with a plan to say, okay, if you invest in a stock, ask yourself these questions. One, is there a price that, or amount of profit that you would reach where you would say, all right, I'm going to pull out, right? So if you say, all right, if I reach 20% profit, I'm taking my money, I'm taking all my profits, pulling out, and that's it. And that's my hard deadline, so to speak. And so it's important to kind of set that because, or at least sometimes it's important to set that, because if you don't, then you reach that kind of gray area where it's like, all right, oh man, I'm at the 20% I kind of talked about, but what if it goes up to 50? I'm going to stay in and hope it goes up to 50. And then, then over the next week, for example, it tanks and then you lost all your profit. I should have taken the 20. And it's just one of those things to where it's good to sometimes set those goals. Or the goal could be, I'm in this for the long term, right? I'm going to invest into Apple. I think Apple's a successful company. So I'm just going to stay in it for the long run. For the next few years, I'm just sticking in it. I don't care whether it goes up or down. Having those setting those goals is helpful for you to be able to do that. Now, on the flip side, if the stock goes down, it does work the same way. If you say, okay, I'm going to set a goal of, all right, if it hits 20% of a loss, right, in terms of, where I would be, then, okay, for me personally, right, and I guess not for me personally, but if you're a person, you say, all right, if it hits that, I don't want it to go down more than that, and I'm willing to take the loss. I'm just going to take my money, my loss, and keep it moving on to the next play, versus letting it saying, oh man, hopefully it goes down or it doesn't go down more, and then it does, and you're in a position to where you're losing money that you can't necessarily afford to lose, which is a whole another discussion in itself. Right. Not playing with that amount of money in the stock market if you can't afford to lose it. But once again, or if it's a stock where, like, once again, like for an Apple or something else, and it's going down, and you already said from the beginning, I don't care if it goes up or down, I'm in this for the long term. You don't care if it drops, by $15, $20 or whatever the case might be. You're going to stay in it because you're confident in the stock. You've done your due diligence, and you're prepared to go along for the ride. And that's just a natural part of the stock market, where stocks are going to go up and down, but you just have to be prepared and know that just until you actually pull out, you haven't earned money or you haven't lost money, right? You're up in your position, or you're down in your position. Like there's like an analogy, but like, it's the same way if, a house, right? Let's say, for example, you buy a house, right? The house costs $200,000. So the next day, let's say the person who evaluates the community in terms of, how much each house is worth, comes by and says, hey, your house is now worth $340,000 versus $200,000. And you say, oh, great. You haven't made $140,000 of profit, right? The value of your house has gone up that much. So if you did decide to sell, then yes, then you will get that extra $140,000 profit. But until you actually sell, you have not made that profit. The value has just gone up. And on the flip side, if, let's say 2 weeks down the line, right? You bought the house with $200,000, and then it drops to $100,000 of value, right? Then it's the opposite. So unless you actually sold it, you haven't lost $100,000, right? It's just the value has gone down. But that's just important for people to know, because I think very early on people get so caught up in that. Oh my God, I've lost $100, $200 or whatever. When it's like, no, it's just you're just down that much for the moment. And if and when the stock does happen to go back up, you'll be back in a better position.
And a couple of things off that is like, one, like you control when you buy and sell, right? It's not
Right.
like, even though a stock goes down, it's like, all right, it's down, so I have to sell it. Or if it goes up,
Yep.
you have to sell it. Like you still have control. But a couple of things.
Yep.
One is the idea of knowing what you want your target to be beforehand, right? Like you said before, the idea of if it's long term, if it's day or swing trading, knowing that beforehand, having your your target set, because then that makes it a lot easier. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier said than done, because everyone can say,
right.
oh yeah, I want to make 50%. But once you get 50% profit, then maybe you might want 60%. You feel me? And then,
right.
but obviously,
right.
To be disciplined is a huge piece of the puzzle. But another thing too is the idea of like setting what they call like limit orders ahead of time, right? So for example, if you're in a trade or investment, let's say you get in at $20 a share, right? And you say, all right, you know what? When this thing hits $24, I'm out. I don't care what happens after. If it hits 24, I'm gone. You can set orders where automatically, you feel me, it'll take you out. So obviously, not everyone can pay attention to charts all day long, but you can take, 5 seconds to set those orders and just slide, So going into that though, the idea of investing, how's your overall strategy of investing while you have a 9 to 5?
Yeah, I think that's the other important thing too, right? So for me, when I go into the stock market, I don't go in saying I'm trying to make money I put this way. I don't go in saying, okay, I'm going to make profit and invest in the stock today to make money today. Because to your point, when you have a 9 to 5, it's extremely difficult for that, right? Or to do that. So for me, when I do go in to invest, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going in to say, okay, I'm investing into this specific stock for, either a few weeks, a couple of days, or whatever it is to hit the price target that I have set from the beginning. I'm going in saying, all right, let me actually just kind of have the ability to not have to stare at this all day long in order to actually, make money, right? And a couple of things. So one, it goes back to what you were saying before in terms of being able to kind of set the price where you automatically want to sell at, to be able to not have to look at it 24/7.
Just chill, yeah.
Yep. But if you say, oh, wow, man, hey, but what if it goes up higher, then I'm losing out on potential profits, then that's fair. Okay, if you don't want to do that, but at least being able to go in and say like, all right, I know I can't look at this all day long because I do have a 9 to 5, and that takes up a significant amount of my time, which does make it challenging, because I think for some people, they do want to be able to just go in and say, I want this to be my full-time thing. I want to fully pay attention to this, look for the right plays, right? But I think it also helps to know, like, listen, I might miss out on an opportunity to buy into something that came out of nowhere that was a really good play, and I might not be able to get it at the optimal price, but because I'm still paying attention to it, I still check in throughout the day or wherever the case might be, I'm still going to be able to hopefully be able to get into it. And if not, you just got to take the L and keep it moving. Like, that's just the reality.
I mean, my thing is, you just got to be comfortable with whatever profit you make, right? Like, obviously, everyone wants to make as much money as you can. Don't get me wrong. But like, if you're making, let's say, for example, $100 on a trade, but then the next day it keeps going up and you could have made 120, you still made 100, right? Because at the end of the day, it also could have went down. So like all this, I feel like is a game, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, if you are okay with the money that you made and the money that you lost,
right?
Okay, charge it to the game and keep it pushing. But another thing that I want to talk about, because I mean, obviously you make money in the stock market, but you can also lose it, right? Obviously you don't lose until you sell, but when you're down in a trade or investment, what we call red days, how do you feel like you approach? Like, do you ever like buy more? Like, do you ever feel like, all right, you know what, my investment's down right now? Because I know sometimes we'll text. It's so weird, bro, getting text messages from people when they say red days, like with the hard eyes emojis. I'm like, people love red days, man. Like, people love red days because of discounts. And just so how's your approach, if you will, on red days?
Red days are a good thing. I'm the one sending those hard eye emojis for the most part. That's me sending them. I'm like, yes, Perfect, because a huge opportunity, on those red days to get things at discounts, right? So, and a lot of people, it's crazy how people think this way. But for example, right, if let's say Tesla, right? Let's say Tesla is going crazy. It's got an all-time high, right? Let's say it's going up. It's at, 8, when it was like 880 or whatever it was at one point. People are in love. Oh my God, Tesla's going to keep going up. This is great. I love it. And I want to get in. I'm going to hurry up and keep buying it, wherever the case might be, right? When the stock drops and it's going down, and Tesla's, let's say when it was a few weeks ago, when it was at like 500 or something, people are like, oh, I don't know if I really want to get in on. It's going down. It's not really going up. This might be the end. When it's like, no, Tesla's at a discount. Wow, you were so excited to buy it when it was at 800 or something, or 700 or something. Get it when it's at a discount. This is an amazing opportunity for you to make money off of it. And that's the good thing about red days. Although, yes, your portfolio might be down, that provides you with the opportunity to A, buy more of what you're already in to average down your price, or B, to get into a new play. There might be a new stock that you really wanted to get into that was a little bit too high and you felt wasn't worth it for you to buy into, that now might be at a great discount for you to get in. And it's the same way, if there's a pair of shoes that you want that's $200, right? You might say, oh my God, I got to get these shoes. These are great. Are you not going to buy the shoes if they're at a discount at 120?
You're going to go crazy.
Yeah, of course. If they don't sell for 120 for that day, you're going to get in. The value still where it is. The value is still good. You still think the value of them are great, but you should get them at that discount as well. And it's the same way with stocks. And trust me, because on those green days, when you take advantage of those red days, the green days are going to go up even more. You're going to make even more money because of it. Like, it's important. I think it was Warren Buffett or somebody had that quote, but it's important to be greedy when others are fearful. It's important to be fearful when others are greedy.
Exactly.
That's so important. That's such an important quote to remember when you're playing around in the stock market.
So I would say, can you dive in a little bit deeper into that quote and kind of what that means to you specifically?
Yeah. It's just one of those things to where, it goes back to what we were just saying, but the red days piece, like when stocks are down and everyone's scared, everyone's panicking, oh my God, I'm losing money. This is not good. I'm going to lose all the money I put into it. You should be looking at it like, get your phone, Birdman hit rub. You should be looking into it like, this is great because I'm going to get all the discounts and take advantage of the fact that everyone is selling, everyone is panicking, which is lowering the price of the stocks. And I'm going to get in and buy cheap. And then when the stock market starts to go up and it's a green day and everyone's, oh my God, this is great, the stocks are going up, you're taking advantage of it because you already got in early. You already did your work on the red day, and now you're getting into it. And then on the flip side, in terms of you rather be, you want to be fearful when others are greedy. If stocks are just constantly going up, you never want to buy at a high. You never want to buy with something, especially that is all-time high, let alone when there's a lot of momentum, because a lot of times it's going to be a pullback. And that's when you really want to be able to get in. So when others are greedy because they're seeing the stock going up, they're like, now's the perfect time to get in. I want to ride the wave, and they get FOMO versus being patient. Then it's that point for you to say, let me just kind of wait a little bit and wait for that pullback and the stock price to drop. Then I should get in because I can get at a much better price because I was patient than a lot of other people were willing to be.
And, just a reminder for everyone, stocks are not a popularity contest, right? Like, if it's okay, if you miss it and, it's going crazy like that, hey, it is what it is. Don't just hop on something because everyone else is, but it is what it is. Like, if you miss it, charge the game, keep it pushing. Because the thing is, look, there's always other opportunities, right? And so a piece of advice, let me not say piece of advice because, this is not financial advice. Not financial advice. Let me throw it out there. I should start the show with that. But a tip that I, sometimes I use is whenever someone tells you that they're down a lot in a stock, you need to start thinking, all right, maybe, just maybe, I might have the ability to get a better entry point. So whenever you see someone or a lot of people on the TL talking about, today is a red day, the stock market's down, you need to start thinking, hey, they're down on this. Maybe at least research what they're in and be like, all right, I might, slide some coins in there and just, see how this plays. Because at least, I definitely get in on a high because it's a red day, And so one thing that I've tried to learn and just realize too for people is obviously red days as a whole, people get excited, right? But do you get excited on red days when it's your company too? Right. So let's just, no, bro, because that's a real conversation as well. It's like,
Yeah.
It's easy for me to get happy at a company I got on my watch list that's having a red day. But man, if I'm in it, I don't want no discount. To the moon, baby.
Yeah.
Gotta run.
No, I feel you. You listen, if it's my stock that I'm in where it's down like that, it definitely hits different. You're a little hurt after when you see it. When you wake up in the morning or look, you check it throughout the day, and you're like, oh damn, I'm down in this stock that I have a lot of money in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it hurts a little bit different. But on the flip side, if it's one of those stocks where, hey, I'm in it, but I haven't gotten a lot of shares like I wanted to. I wanted to buy more shares, or I got in at a high price and now it's significantly less. I'm disappointed that it's down. So obviously, I'd much rather have it go up. I'd always choose to have my stocks go up. But if it's down and I have an opportunity to either buy more shares, that I wasn't able to get before, or I'm able to average down on my price, or both really. But hell yeah, I'm happy about that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, listen, if I have a lot of shares in it already and I don't have any to buy more, I'm hurt, man. I'm just gonna close my app for the day and let me just go back and check tomorrow.
Because this is where it comes into play. It's like if you're in it for the long term, it's like okay, whatever. We young, we got time on the side, whatever. But this is a quick little swing trade that I want to get a little 20% on or whatever. It's like hey,
you got to chill. You need to relax.
Bump all that, man. We got things to take care of. Go the opposite way. But you know what, though? We talk about, FOMO. But with that, I have a word for you. You ready?
Talk to me. Yeah, talk to me.
Dogecoin. Were you a part of the hype on Dogecoin?
I am.
I actually were you. My man said I am. My man said, I don't know about that past tense. You feel me?
Listen, but I am. So it's so interesting with Dogecoin, man. I remember this was back in maybe January or really early January. And I remember I saw it trending on Twitter, and I'm like, what is this? Obviously, and for me, I knew a little bit about cryptocurrency as a whole. I was investing into Bitcoin really early on. And wish I would have stayed in. This is back in 2017. And
we'll talk about Bitcoin in the set. We'll talk about Bitcoin in the set.
Okay. You really gonna hurt me like that? Bring back up old memories, but it's fine.
Hey man, life.
No, but it's cool. But so Dogecoin. So back in January, I saw it trending on Twitter, and I saw Dogecoin. What is this? Saw people talking about it. It was extremely low. It was under a penny, right? It's just under a penny. It was rising up, getting really close, and I'm like, what is this? I see people talking about it. I'm looking into it, and it was a meme joke coin. For those who don't know, Dogecoin started off. It's another form of cryptocurrency similar to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and etc. And so, Dogecoin started off as a joke. It was a quote unquote meme coin. It was really small. It was under a penny. People weren't really taking it serious, whatever. And it kind of started getting momentum at that point. I can't remember if Elon Musk was already tweeting about it and all that stuff. But for me, I was all right, great, bet. It's super low. You know what? Let me throw in a little bit of money into it. I'm not going to throw in anything crazy. But, if it goes up, if people were saying, oh, things going to go up to $1, we're going to push it to $1. And I was like, all right, if it goes to $1, it goes up, fine, whatever. Fine. I'm investing a little bit of money into it. If it goes up, great. If it drops and I lose all my money, it wasn't anything I couldn't afford to lose. So I didn't mind. And so I got in January. I think I got into 1 cent. And, I can't remember if it was March or so or something around that time frame, it kind of started going a little bit crazy. And I think it shot up to 7-8 cents. And I remember at this point, Elon Musk was tweeting about it and pushing it as well. And every time he tweeted about it, it was a little push. And so it went up to 7-8 cents, which is a pretty nice return, especially when you get in so early.
Hell yeah.
And I remember we were talking about it, and I'm like, bro, this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. And for me, I had no intention to pull out because I'm just like, why would I pull out? I'm just going to hang on for the ride. I'm ready to make my profits. Forget it. Let's go for the ride. And obviously, as of late, it shot up like crazy. I think got up as high as 45 cents. And it was it was crazy in terms of that push. But, the return I got in there was pretty crazy. So I'm a big fan of Dogecoin. I hope it continues to go up. I hope it goes up to $1. But yeah, it's something crazy. I mean, but to be honest, it does, which I know you hate, but it reminds me of the AMC, the GameStop kind of, wave a little bit too, where it's just people getting in because they think they can make a lot of quick money. And some people have, they got in early and were able to. Some people have. But it's always important to just be careful with that too, because it can come back to bite.
Because the good thing for you though is that you got in early, right? And I
Yep.
think that's a huge part of it, right? Like obviously, like we always say, man, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? But if you get in something early, then you know what I'm saying, you can say, all right, I'm gonna wait it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
When you buy at a high, because people who bought at a high on Dogecoin just for the hype,
Oh, 100%.
it definitely dropped a little bit. It didn't drop back to a penny, but immediately. And I mean, like everything, has some sort of like, pullback and a little bit of a dip, drop, whatever. But yeah, man. I mean, so did you get yours, if you don't mind me asking, like through Robinhood? How was that process? Did you like?
Yep. Yeah, I got it through Robinhood. So I remember I was just on. Like I said, when I saw the time, I had a Robinhood account. I actually don't, trade through Robinhood. I use Fidelity at the moment, and
Dang.
so yeah, and so Robinhood, I was like, you know what? It's on here. I don't have to download any other app. Let me just go ahead and just get it quick while it's 1 cent. Go for the ride, and go that route. So yeah, I use Robinhood with Dogecoin.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, like, obviously Robinhood, is pretty common, and Fidelity is another broker account that people can use. They offer fractional shares as of today's date. Just throw it out there. Of course, not financial advice. But now to switch gears to Bitcoin, and we were both in it. Around 2017, I want to say we were at a Cuse versus UConn game, and we were talking about it. So how was that journey for you back then?
Oh man, at that point I was riding a high. I'm like, this is great. I'm making a crazy amount of money off Bitcoin. It's on the rise. I got in early on that as well. I heard about Bitcoin. I was trying to follow people onto it. And I was just like, this is amazing, right? And I can't remember what it was at that point. I don't know if you remember like the exact price for one Bitcoin at that point.
I low-key want to say like 17K. Don't quote me. I don't have the chart.
No, I was thinking something like that. So I was thinking like 16, 17K at that point. And I'm like, this is amazing. It's going to keep going up. This is great. And man, I remember when it happened. I was at work, funny enough, at all places. And it had just reached a high of like 19,000, maybe like the day before, a few days before, whatever the case might be. And, I'm like, this is great, make a lot of money, bet. And so I'm at work. I check, Bitcoin, and it dropped, which normal. I mean, it goes up and down. It's the way Bitcoin has been. Cryptocurrencies are very volatile, so they're going to go up, have crazy swings one way or another. And so it dropped down, and I'm like, all right, it's nothing crazy. And I check back again 30 minutes later, another crazy drop. I'm talking about, from like it was at 19, from 19 to like 14, from 14 to whatever, and it just crazy drops. And I'm like, what is going on? I check again maybe like 10 minutes later, another crazy swing. And throughout, like literally within like a few hours, all the money that I had made was gone. And I was in the negatives in terms of, I was at a loss. Mind you, it was a crazy swing. And I think what made it worse is because, to go back to what we were talking about earlier, a lot of people were panicking as well. A lot of people were just there for the hype. So they don't really know what's going on. They're not experienced with it. And cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin at that point, was already volatile anyway. So, people started panicking, just started selling. I'm just getting out of here. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm out. And it was made the price continue to fall. And so at that point, for me, I was still early on. I wasn't involved with stocks at that point. Didn't have any real knowledge of stocks. I just knew Bitcoin. And I was panicking. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm calling my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I'm down all this money. Once again in my head, speaking of experience, I was like, oh, I've lost all this money. I haven't sold yet, but I've lost all this money. This is terrible. I don't know what to do. Should I just pull out? Should I hope that it goes back up? This is crazy. I'm done with this. I just want to get out.
I'm done with this.
It's crazy. I mean, I went down, man. It was crazy. But like, so I was like, you know what? If it ever just goes back to break even, I'm pulling out. I'm just getting out of this I'm done with it. And
that's what they all say.
No, but that's what happened. It went back to break even. I was like, oh, maybe just hang on for a little bit to where I make. I know.
See, that's what they all say.
To where I make like a few $100s, right? Let me just make a few hundred, and then that's what happened. I think I might have made like only $200, something like that. But I was like, I'm out. I'm done.
Profit is profit.
Exactly. So I pulled out, and I was like, I'm never touching this again. And then Bitcoin had is kind of down period where a lot of people were done with it because the bubble had quote unquote burst. And we hadn't heard from Bitcoin for a while again. And obviously in 2020, Bitcoin kind of started going crazy again and had its comeback, and now it's going crazy and got at the high as 60,000. I think it was like 53,000 or something like that as we're recording this today. But yeah, it's crazy how it's had its return. I look back at it and I'm like, damn, if I would have stayed in, which of course I wouldn't have, but if I did stay in, it would have been crazy. It would have been a crazy amount of profit. I could have probably retired something at this point.
But there, that's great. But there's some lessons in that though. Like one, you talked about it before, and even in this story, you don't lose money until you sell, right? So you could have easily just say, I'm down a lot of money. I'm out of here. I'm gone. But you were patient enough, I'm saying, just kind of waited out, which brings me to the second point of that story. Sometimes just waiting, just being patient, sometimes, is the answer. What I'm saying? And then actually, a third point to that, I even say, sometimes it's good to collect profits, right? And so, like when you're up, obviously knowing what you know now, today, it's like, all right, I shouldn't have sold anything. Right. But, at that time, it's like, you're up. You know what I'm saying? And then I guess even the fourth lesson, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So you had opportunities to do all of those things, right? You could have, you could have sold at a loss, you could have bought more when you were up. No one realistically knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But you just have to make sure, again, that you are comfortable with whatever decision that you make. So this was back in 2017, right? So were you buying it off Robinhood at the time?
No, I was using Coinbase. So Coinbase was like which we just went public not long ago. They were the popular, app that was being used to buy cryptocurrency. And that's what I was using at that point. So, shout out to Coinbase, man. Shout out to Coinbase. They had a crazy IPO, but
Coinbase is funny too because their IPO and stuff. I saw someone tweet, and forgive me, I don't remember exactly who the person was. They was like, if you like Coinbase at $430 a share, you're gonna love it at $330 a share. And it's just like, Hey, but it's like that though. A lot of IPOs sometimes, a lot of things just in general, just hype. It's just like, all right, let that blow over. You know what I'm saying? And then you're good.
Can we talk about that for a second though?
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
A lot of people, when stocks go public for the first time, I see this so often, and they get in at the top because they're getting at the hype. Something first goes public, oh my God, I got to get in now. I have to get in because it's going to just shoot up once I get in, I got to get in early. And the first day or two, and there's a lot of hype around it, it's really high. So like with Coinbase, it was like 400 or something, like 440 or 420, whatever it was. And once that hype settles and it stabilizes, it then drops. It drops, and it because the hype wears off.
Clockwork,
man. The people who made profits are like, I'm getting out of there. Like, it doesn't make sense to be the first one. Like, here's the thing. So when with IPOs or stocks, whatever the case might be, it's like never get in at that high. And a lot of times with IPOs, when they first drop into the stock market, you have an opportunity to invest. It's not smart to just get in at that high point. Just wait, be patient. Because to your point, you can get in at a much better price and get in at 330, or it was like 297 or something like that a little bit early. Like, you can get in at a much lower price point. And it's always good to be, for the most part, to be patient, right? There are some times where, hey, the gamble pays off, not necessarily in the case of an IPO necessarily, but with other stocks where you say, I'm just going to get in early, I don't care, it doesn't matter. And sometimes it does work out in your favor. But a lot of times it does make sense to be patient and to not just get that FOMO of, I should have gotten in, let me just get in anyway, or whatever the case might be.
And it's funny because, stock market is like a place where it's actually good to be cheap. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things in life, you do not need to be cheap on. You need to pay, a decent price for certain things. But the stock market is like, hey, man, you never want to overpay for something, because the better, price per share you get it at, obviously it'll be better for your account. You know what I'm saying? And even adding to the whole be patient, it's also don't just do what everyone else is doing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's difficult, right? I don't even want to make it seem like it's the easiest thing in the world, because at the end of the day, everyone has emotions, right? And so if you can remain disciplined and really lock in your emotions with anything in life, it'll make your job, your finances, your life, your relationship, whatever, just a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? Just take a deep breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's especially with our generation, bro, because what I'm saying, with everybody is young, everybody's so, I mean, I got to get into this. I got to, relax.
It's hard, man. I mean, you're seeing people stunned on social media, right? So, somebody, hey, I was in AMC or GameStop, and I made, $20,000 off of this, and people are posting that. You're thinking in your head like, man, they made $20,000 off investing in this. I don't know anything about the stock market, but let me go ahead and sign up for a Robinhood account, and let me go ahead and try to, make my 20,000 and get in on it. And that's how you end up losing a lot of money. Like, it's important to be educated on what you're getting involved with. And like, yes, for some people, they were able to get in early, and that's where they were able to ride the wave, have no clue about any of that stuff. But a lot of times you end up losing money, especially if you put in a lot of money that you can't afford to lose. It ends up coming back to bite you in the ass, and you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, and it's like, it can happen. A lot of people on social media, obviously, like you said, talk about how much money they made,
right?
But you can also lose it. All right.
Yeah, and I promise you, the people who have lost money were probably a lot of people aren't posting it, so you don't know. You only see the wins.
Exactly.
They're not going to post the losses, right? The people who like lost a lot of money, they're not going to post it, so you don't even see it. So you're not even cognizant of it or thinking about it. But in reality, there are probably way more people who lost a lot of money than who gained a lot of money from trying to go that route.
Exactly, man. I would just tell people, like, don't let social media fool you. You know what I'm saying? Like, every single person that's ever invested has lost money at least in one, what I'm saying, trade or investment. That's a part of the game. Obviously, you want to have more wins than losses, but no one goes like undefeated in life. Like, you're gonna, lose at some point, and that's okay. But I think, the idea of learning, like, please, if you're listening to this and like you're new to the stock market, please, before you invest any type of money, just do your best to at least just read up on and just learn about it a little bit, because I think everyone. All right, you ask a lot of people about their either first investment or their first loss, and I guarantee you a lot of it probably became out of emotion, right? It wasn't just a bad decision, but because it came out of, all right, I'm panicking, so I'm going to buy at a high, or I'm panicking, so I'm going to sell when it's very low. It came out of some sort of emotion. So just, read up on it. And the thing is, look, the stock market ain't going nowhere. You feel me? Like, you can make money in the stock market every day, a year from now, 10 years from now, tomorrow, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So don't feel like, all right, you have to get started investing today, but definitely emphasize like learning today. You know what I'm saying? Because trust me, man, everyone, it's a part of the game if you end up losing money. You know what I'm saying? So, so I mean,
the important thing is you want to be prepared for when that opportunity hits. I mean, shout out to Nipsey, how long to opportunity means preparation. Like, you want to be prepared for when that moment comes. You're ready for it, and you're ready to really, hit the ground running with that. But that is extremely important, because that way you won't start yourself out in the hole by any means, and you're able to at least start at ground level and kind of work your way up. And there's going to be ups and downs. To your point, you're going to lose money. The natural thing, like, people have lost money in the stock market. It's inevitable. But if you're smart about it, intentional, and prepared in terms of your strategy, how you want to approach it, and doing your due diligence in terms of the stocks that you get involved with, you'll be setting yourself up for a much better chance of success than failure.
Exactly. And I mean, we preach the idea of just starting as soon as you can. Again, starting learning, because as young folk, we have time on our hands to kind of let the market do what it does, right? Like, just let your money grow. The sooner you start, the better. Now, speaking of the stock market, bro, you made money while you were on vacation. FaceTime me while you was in Cabo and say, yeah, man, stock market looking good today. I'm like, wow, what a flex, bro. So can you tell the people about making money on vacation, please?
That's the goal, man. Like, listen, like, the goal. So for everybody out there, I was in Cabo, for about a week or so with my girlfriend. We were out there chilling, and it was a nice, needed vacation. We was talking about corporate America earlier, but it can weigh you down after a while, and you kind of need that time to relax. But the point is, you ideally want to get yourself to a point to where your money is making money for you, and you're able to make money while you sleep. And so, for me, stock market was, hitting right. Cryptocurrency was hitting right. And I was able to check and saw things were looking green. It was a couple of green days, and I'm just like, all right, perfect. I'm chilling on jet skis and relaxing by the pool, and I'm making some decent money in my account. So that's one of the things too, right? And I think just to take a step back and look at it from a more macro level, yeah, man, like, that's the whole goal of this thing is to be at a point to where you're really able to make good money and you don't have to lift a finger. Right? So you're taking that income that you might be taking that you might be making from your job, your 9 to 5 or whatever, and you're throwing some of that money into stocks or into whatever the case might be, to things that can provide you with passive income. So you can then be able to make enough money to where you can just sit and not have to do much. And that's really the goal, right? And I think that's what a lot of people during the pandemic, and this is the one kind of good things about that happened because of the pandemic, but I think a lot of people realize, like, damn, there are a lot of different ways I can make money. And I really want to be able to take advantage of that. And I need to educate myself on it. And it's feasible and it's realistic and it's possible. And I think the pandemic really opened a lot of people's eyes, especially, a lot of Black people and a lot of people in our community, in terms of this is feasible, for other folks that are more fortunate and privileged, for a lot of white folks, for example, they, for not all, but for some, they've been able to kind of get the kind of, cheat code, if you will. Like they have the understanding of like, hey, stock market, you put money down here and you just let it sit and it grows over time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bet. I'd rather do this than put all my money into a bank account, than savings account and let it sit. Let me take half of it or whatever, throw it in the stock market, and then I'm really kind of building wealth over time. And that I'm making this up, but that $10,000 I had, now it's $12,000, when I take it out. This is great. And it's just having that kind of mindset is so important, because I think, especially in our community, these are the things we want to be able to pass down to our kids and our grandkids, and continuously have that passed down from generations on. Because I'll go ahead.
No, go.
Because I'll just say, I know for me personally, this wasn't something my family knew about. I remember I was young and just, I said I went to learn about stocks and bonds and have an understanding as far as how all this stuff works. And no one in my family could teach me because no one knew. And I'm, trying to go on YouTube when I'm like young and find videos, but it was just too complex for me at that point because I was so young. And I wished I had somebody that could teach me that. And to be able to pass those type of, opportunities and that knowledge down to our kids, our kids' kids, et cetera, is so important. And not only that, but to pass it on to our parents, to pass it on to our aunties or uncles or cousins. You don't have to say the information for your kids. You can pass it on to your other families, your family and friends, and the people who don't really know as much about it, and be able to put them on the game too, and really be able to spread that. Because at the end of the day, there's no point in you being the only one that's benefiting from this knowledge. Like when you get this type of information and you have an understanding as far as this type of stuff, especially when it comes to things that people truly care about, like making money, you should be spreading that and really putting other people on, and especially your family, your friends, whoever the case might be, because it's better when you all eat, right? Like the whole quote, like teach me to fish, give me a fish and I'll eat for a day. Teach me to fish and I'll eat for a lifetime. Like that's so real. I could just give you money, or I could, help teach you help teach you how to invest, and you can make money on your own and make a lot more. And that's just so important. It's so important.
Yeah, man. And, you hit it right there, man. Just passing down that education. I just want to reach a point, where us, as people, as Black people, continue to have conversations about investing the same way, we have conversations about basketball, the same way we
100%.
have conversations about toxic things or whatever that we might see on Twitter, whatever. And the reason why I asked you about vacation and making money on vacation wasn't just, to flex or whatever, but it was to show people you can do both. All right. The whole point of, the show and why I did it was to, let people know, like, you can go on vacation, you can have fun, you can spend money on flights and things like that. I promise you, I'm not going to be the person to tell someone, to just save, and just throw all your money in the stock market. But just make sure you got a balance of both. You know what I'm saying? So like that way, you can enjoy your life and be prepared for your life. You know what I'm saying? And just constantly passing down that to your kids. And like you said, your grandchildren and everything like that. Like, it's not just a money thing. It's also an education, because now, I'm saying, like, the good thing about education is once you have it, you good, right? Like, it might be tough for most people to make money, but education don't expire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still have that knowledge to, to keep it pushing and everything like that. So I just look at it as like, that's a huge opportunity for our people to, continue again to have that conversation. Because it sounds like to me, bro, you're making money while you was in the air. That's some, feel me? That's, hey, you make money while you're in the air, man. You talk different. You got it, bro.
Nah, man, listen, nowhere close to money, I want to make, but I'll make my little chump change and keep it moving. I might be able to afford a couple of nuggets from McDonald's or something.
Fact. I'm broke, man. Hey, I ain't got no money. Hey, don't let Noob.
But one other thing too that you said too, it's just so important to pass certain things down. Like, I mean, even I think we talked about this a little bit earlier too, but like the mental health side of it too, like that's something else, right? Like, to pass down knowledge, not just around stocks and finance, but even just in terms of the mental piece too, and mental health and the importance of that, and being able to really, educate, your kids, your family about that piece of it too. Because once again, especially, just growing up, we were younger, nobody talked about mental health. Same way they didn't talk about stocks or anything, they didn't talk about mental health. It was just like, oh, toughen up. What are you crying about or whatever? Yeah. But it's important to know, like, now kids go through things too. Like other people, like people are going through things. Adults are going with their grandparents, whatever, like going through anxiety, depression, or whatever. And it's important to be able to normalize that and say, hey, they're like, hey, maybe you should go to therapy and be able to have that conversation and really normalize that, or to be able to accept and say, like, hey, I do have anxiety. It's something that I deal with, so I can know how to live with it and know how to stop it from preventing me from doing the things that I want to do. And I think that's something as well that's not really talked about as much, but it's getting there. And I think those are the important things, right? Like I think especially, our community right now, like, financial literacy is something that's being talked about, and it's extremely important. Obviously mental health is something that's becoming more relevant and a part of the conversations that we're having on the day to day. It's good to see, because I think that in the long term, it'll help us to continue just to get better and continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, we should continue to want to push ourselves every day, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. We should want to just continue to grow in every way. And having these type of conversations with, your family, your friends, or whatever, and really normalizing them are a key way in which we can do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, we just got to continue, to make strides. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and we can do it, right? Like that's the thing that, is the best part. It's not like impossible. It's not something like we can't do it. We can, we just have to continue to keep pushing. And what amazed me is how much like people around me are doing things that I may not have known about before. So that's why I say it's so important to have conversations. Like imagine you having a conversation with someone who you didn't know, but they told you they had like 10 rental properties. Oh yeah. By the way, I got 10. Bro, what? You don't want to tell me that to like at least show me or put me on a game or whatever. Now, obviously there's like a very thin line between like being humble, I'm saying, not want to tell anybody, it's just your business, and at the same time helping someone. But I think there's always education and success, right? When other people see that you're succeeding in something, automatically that opens the door to having that conversation, right? Of just like, yo, I'm doing this, you doing that. Let's, combine, our brain power, just kind of do something crazy, right? Because like I said, man, we do it with everything else, bro. Like, feel me? When Black people get together, great things happen. I just want that
always
to continue. Fact. I mean, and that's just how it is. That's how it always will be. But just continue to have that. But so right now, I'm saying, switch gears a little bit. Right now, you've moved to LA, right? And before that, you were living in New York, right? So you lived in, both sides of the country, two crazy cities. How's that adjustment been for you? Not just financially, but just and hell, you're from Chicago, so that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of done all three of those. So how's that been?
No, so I mean, living in LA right now is great. We had conversations about this before, but New York is it wasn't for me, for a few different reasons. Obviously, first and foremost, probably it was just I guess two real key pieces. The first one is the financial piece. So obviously, New York is a very expensive city, just like LA is, right? It's all relative. So New York is extremely expensive, but the quality of life that you get for what you pay is nowhere close to how it is in LA, for example. And damn near isn't anywhere close to how it is.
You know what I'm smelling on this side of the car? I'm smelling some bougie. That's what I'm getting with.
No, man, listen. Why would I pay X amount of money to live in New York and live in a box, live in a 400 square foot apartment, right? 1-bedroom apartment. And I could pay the same amount and live in a spacious, 900 square foot apartment in LA or whatever it is, where I'm just throwing out.
I got you.
Like, but there's a much higher quality of life. I mean, obviously the weather is amazing out here too. Being able to, personally for me, this is another important thing, but being able to drive and be able to have your own space versus having to take the subway, especially coming out of COVID times. I don't necessarily be on the subway where I'm shoulder to shoulder, it's crowded with, random people that I don't know. Where it's hot, you got to wait for the subway to come, there are delays and all that
Man,
stuff.
talk about the good about New
hop in
York,
my
man.
car and get from point A to point B. And for those who are listening, they were like screaming.
Man, bro, talk, you gotta say some of the good stuff about New York, man. A lot of my audience, they're from New York, man.
Don't worry. Listen,
okay.
Don't get me wrong. New York was a dope city to live in for the time that I was there, right? So I was in New York for about 4 years, and so a little bit over four, just about 4 years. And so it was a dope city. Like New York, especially when you're young and you're just getting your career started, it's a great place to be because the pace in which New York is, like, it's so fast paced. There's so much going on. It's good because I think the cliche saying, if you can make it, you can make it anywhere. But if you can survive that pace and just that kind of way in which New York operates, where things move 1,000 miles a minute, even just in terms of your office job or whether it's whatever your career field is, if you can take that and bring that mentality anywhere else, you're going to be successful, right? Like New York is great. You're going to meet a lot of people. It's extremely diverse. Like New York is great from that. The fashion is dope. I love the clothes of the city. Like the energy is amazing. But it was just when I started realizing how much money I was just losing and throwing away for a low quality of life, I'm just like, this isn't really it for me. And when I can go out to LA, amazing weather, where the weather personally affects my mood, and just being able to have sunshine, being able to do certain things like see grass and trees, right? Like see nature, which you don't really see in New York. It is crazy because coming from Chicago, I'm used to seeing, bodies of water and the grass and trees and stuff. But when I got to New York, I'm like, oh, there's really none of this around. It's kind of weird, unless I won't go to Central Park or something like that. But not really that much of it around. And I realized how much I missed it and how important it was to me. And so LA has that. And it's just, for me, culture is a lot slower as well. The pace isn't as crazy, so you can actually like relax and to be able to appreciate and enjoy life. I love it, man. LA's been probably the best thing. And I wanted to live out here for years. That was always the goal. And to actually come out here and kind of fulfill that, dream that I wanted to, it's been amazing, bro. It's been amazing. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I bet, man. I've been able to, check you out in LA a couple of times, man. But like, were you ever? I mean, I think I asked you this question about, applying for the internship with the NBA, but still, you're a little bit older now, right? So, were you ever, I guess, on the verge of like changing your mind and say, you know what, even though you said all those things about, New York, at the end of the day, you're still moving across the country, right? And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was to a city that you've never lived in before, right? So like, I guess, what advice would you have for those that are, one, not just, looking to move to LA, but just looking to move out of, to a different city or different state in general?
Yeah, so I guess a couple things. So one, just to clarify for the people who absolutely don't know, but so I never lived in LA before, but I have visited several times, right? And obviously living and visiting is completely different.
Right.
But at least I kind of have an idea of what I'm getting into roughly, right? Obviously it is completely different living in the city, but just having that kind of foundation to kind of start off with in terms of what it is like, help. And not only that, but also being able to have, and this kind of will go into answer your question, but having a lot of people who did live in LA that I can lean on and say, hey, this is what I think LA is like. This is what all the good stuff I keep talking about, but is it really like that living here? Like, what is your experience like? How's it been for you? What's the good, the bad, the ugly? I need to know so I can have as much information as possible before I decide to make that decision to make that move. And everything I got from people in terms of the good, the bad, the ugly, like everything was aligned in what I thought it would be like and what I would be willing to quote unquote put up with in terms of the good and the bad. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So in terms of people who like want to make that move and kind of go to a different city and, transition, I would say, honestly, just know what makes you happy, right? So a lot of people, a lot of times will say, oh, I want to live in this city because I think it looks cool and blah, blah, blah. Or, I can, save up money and I can, do all this stuff and live in a better lifestyle. That's all good and right. That's all important. But at the same time, it's even more important to say, do those things make me happy, right? So let's say for the person that says, I just want to live in a city where I can save up money. Let's say I live in New York right now. I don't like living in New York. I want to live in, I'm making this up, but like North Dakota, right? Because I can save a lot of money.
Mm.
Okay, you can save a lot of money because North Dakota is a lot cheaper, but will you be comfortable with that lifestyle? North Dakota is in New York, right? Obviously, it's an extreme example,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important to know and set that foundation of, okay, well, what exactly do I want? What makes me happy? What am I looking to get out of a city that I live in? And really write those down, like really have an understanding as far as what you want and, what makes you happy in terms of where you live. And then at that point, it becomes a lot easier to say, all right, well, based on the list that I have in terms of stuff that I do want and what I don't want out of a city, this seems to be applicable for this particular city that I want to live in. Then I think to what I was saying earlier, if you have friends or family or people that you can, lean on and say, hey, how is it living here? Do you like it? What don't you like? Blah, blah, blah. To continue to get a better sense as far as what the city is like. All those type of things, that information helps you then make a grounded, rational decision in terms of whether you want to live in a city or not. Because I don't think it's necessarily smart to just go into it and say, oh, I heard Atlanta's dope, I heard LA's dope, the weather's good in LA. That's why I want to live there. Okay, cool. And I'm out. It's important just to make sure that you have all the reasonings behind it, understanding what you're looking for to get out of a city and what makes you happy.
Facts. And I'm glad you said that. That kind of reminds me of like choosing a college, if you will, sometimes.
Yeah.
And just like you have to prioritize and really make sure that you choose peace above everything else. Like, right. Like we obviously always talk about money. We talk about a lot of different things, where we work, where we live, all that. But like, if you aren't happy, then you might want to start making some adjustments, because there are folks out here getting to the bag, but are miserable. There are people who have a bunch of followers on Instagram, but are miserable. You know what I'm saying? So just really reaching. But the thing is, though, ironically enough, as we talk about money, most people are miserable if they don't have money. So it's like you have to really, really, one, know yourself, but two, make sure that you make decisions based off that. You know what I'm saying? If you're cool with living a regular life in the suburbs, not making, too much money or whatever, hey, do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just think that, choosing your peace should be the number one thing above anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get caught in trying to chase anyone or anything, or even just a set dollar amount, if that's not what, makes you happy.
Right.
Because there's a lot of stress in chasing money.
100%.
There's a lot of stress in chasing money. So,
But and to your point, man, like a lot of people don't look at it that way. A lot of people don't say what makes me happy. A lot of people don't know, like, right. So we'll have a conversation with people, and they'll say like, oh, you'll ask them, what makes you happy? And they'll say, oh, I want to, money makes me happy, or that, or whatever the case might be. And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, does money really make you happy?
That's crazy.
Or is it some of the things that you want to do with that money that makes you happy, right? So is it really, I love to travel. I love to see different cultures. That's what really makes you happy. You want money because it allows you to get there, but the real reason why you're happy is because you love taking trips, right? Or going on vacation and seeing different cultures. Or is it, how I want to make a lot of money that makes me happy? No. Or is it, hey, I want to be able to take care of my family because they're struggling back home and I have to take care of them. So seeing my family not have to struggle, that's what really makes me happy. But it takes having a deep conversation with yourself to really sit down and say, what truly makes me happy, and being able to prioritize those things. And then it's a lot easier to make those decisions because you have that foundation established, right? Like for so long, I guess a quick little story, but like for so long for me, before I had gotten to the NBA, I was like, oh my God, that's the goal, right? That's what I thought would make me happy. I want to be at the NBA. The NBA is a dream. That's what I love. I love the NBA, blah, blah, blah. And that was my goal my entire life. I finally get the opportunity to work there. I get the full-time job. And, I'm there and I'm like, oh, this is great. This is what I wanted. I'm here. I made it. I made it. Life from here on out is going to be amazing. I love it. And it was so weird because I wasn't necessarily happy, right? Like obviously I was happy about the job. I love working for the league. It was incredible. Now it's still great now. Like I have no complaints about that. But I wasn't happy though. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, I accomplished my dream. I did what I wanted to do.
That's scary.
I'm here. And I couldn't figure it out. And it took me a long time, man, to realize it's because my foundation was wrong. What made me happy wasn't going to the NBA. right? I have a different priority. So for me, what makes me happy is making sure that I'm growing to what I referenced earlier, that I'm growing each and every day, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I'm a person that constantly want to push myself to get better in all facets of life. I want to be a multidimensional person. I want to be a well-versed person. I want to be someone who is actually continuing to grow into the best version of themselves. And when I realized that, it became so much easier for me to find happiness in my life because I knew what I wanted. Right. So for me, I was like, okay, LA provides me with the opportunity to do a lot of the things that I want to do in order to grow as a person. And so now I know, okay, I really need to get out to LA to actually, you know, be happy, essentially, to like achieve some of the things that, because I'm going to achieve some of the things that I want to in order to grow as a person by being out here. Right. And it's just like having that mentality and having a clear understanding of what makes you happy helps to inform your decisions in order to achieve the things that you want to in life. But I think so many people are misguided in terms of what makes them happy. And they spend a lot of time going in the wrong direction, trying to achieve happiness via something that really won't bring it to them.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point, man. It's like question you might ask yourself is like, well, what happens when you reach the top of the mountain, right? Like, what happens when you reach all your goals? It's like, well, now what? You know, is it that you realize that, damn, maybe this wasn't what I really wanted this whole entire time? Or do you have a mentality of, all right, you know what? I need to be motivated and inspired to do something else or accomplish something else. And I think sometimes that's the question that a lot of people tend to have day in and day out. It's like, what's your purpose, right? What is it that not only makes you happy, but like, why am I here? Why am I on this earth, right? You know, especially too when it starts, because like I said, we're young. So if you reach your goals, if you reach your lifelong goal this early in life, then the question definitely is, now what? You know what I'm saying? And you know, fortunately, you're able to view it in that perspective, like, all right, you know what? I needed to move out to LA, not just for the Flash or Hollywood or whatever, but for me. You know what I'm saying? For myself. It was the best move for me, you know, and really having that, man, is, you know, definitely happy for you, you know, to be able to have made that move.
I appreciate you.
You know, Chicago, New York, now LA, you know, because that's hey man, you end up moving to Miami. Hey man, you stamped my book, bro.
Listen, man. Miami's your city, bro. Miami's your spot. Listen, I can't wait for you to get a spot down there at some point down the line.
And
I'll just stay there when you're gone. I'll be able to chill out a little bit. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. You know what? I love Miami to death. Everybody knows that. But I don't know if I can live there, man. You know, it's
different.
Yeah, you want to talk about difference, man. I don't know if I can live there. But one thing, like the question, you know, and I'll use this as the last one to kind of wrap up. The question that I ask everyone is, how do you want to be remembered? When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I like that. So for me, I would probably say two things. One is I want to be remembered as someone who essentially created something special from nothing, right? Someone who literally came from nothing, someone who had to figure it all out on the fly, someone who's blessed enough to have God looking over him, someone who's blessed enough to have the right people come into his life at the right time, and you know, to be able to have certain things go the right way to put me in a position to where I am now, and to have then created something that will last a lifetime for, you know, his family. And that's the goal, and that's what I really want to be remembered by. But the other thing, the second piece of that though, is I really want to be remembered as someone who inspired a lot of people, right? I want to be able to inspire the same, you know, Black kids that, not even just Black kids, but the same kids that come from unfortunate situations like I had to, just growing up struggling in Chicago. I want kids to be able to be inspired to say, damn, he was able to make it out. I can do it too. I want to be able to provide them with that blueprint to be able to say, hey, here's how you can do it. Here, like the resources, here's like the mentorship or whatever the case might be, and really be able to help bring up people and kids who grew up in the same situations that, or similar situations that I did. Because I just think that when you can really influence other people like that, that's how you build a lasting legacy, right? When you're able to really inspire other people, because inspiration is the best currency. It really is. And so in order to truly be able to have an impact in this world, I think you have to impact lives. I think you have to inspire people. I think you have to push other people to want to be better versions of themselves every day. And for me, that motivates me, because it's not really about me. It's never been about me. I don't care about, money like that in terms of, for my own selfish benefit to buy clothes or whatever. I want to use that same way we talk about investments, investments or whatever. I want to invest in people, right? I want to be able to take that money and reinvest in the communities and all that stuff down the line. So that's what really motivates me. And that's personally like what I want my legacy to be when it's all said and done.
Ooh. Hey, man. For the record, for y'all listening, I didn't ask you this question before. So that was straight from the heart. That was oof.
It's something I think about often, man.
Yeah. You was in your bag just now, bro. I'm not even gonna hold you.
No, I appreciate you.
But no doubt, and it's important, to inspire people that look like us, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, because again, it's not a secret that wealth gaps exist among the Black community. It's 100%. Not a secret. That's not hidden anymore. But the good thing is, though, in that everything that we've talked about, right? You working at the NBA, you going on vacation in Cabo, all that stuff, you moving to LA, all those things are things that might be praised and celebrated within the young Black male community. But at the same time, right, having that platform, and now we're shifting the conversation as well to talking about investing in stocks and financial literacy and things like that. So just constantly reiterating to people, you can do both. All right. You can do both. We are two Black men talking about investing while wearing t-shirts. All right. Like you can do both. It's okay to, do it. Like, don't let social media fool you. Don't let these numbers fool you in terms like, again, wealth gaps and all that. The most important thing, in my opinion, is just getting started. You know what I'm saying? And again, you hit it around the head in terms of like passing down education, right? Being an inspiration for people and showing them that it's possible. Because that's, one of the biggest things too, is that we need to show people, right, our people, that it's possible. Everyone likes to use a whole, not everyone could be a LeBron James, not everyone could be a Jay-Z. And even though that's true, I think just being an impact, being an actual physical role model within your community, because you're a role model to someone, right? Like, no matter how much money you made, no matter where you were, you are a role model to someone. You just have to believe that and know that someone out there is either watching your story or wishes that they were, in your shoes. You know what I'm saying? So because that's the case, just making sure that you're a person of value and treating every day, that it's going to be a good one, So, 100%. With that being said, man, I just want to say thank you again, bro, just for pulling up on the pod, on this show. We always, have these types of conversations, but like we said in the beginning of this, now it's recorded. You feel me? Now everyone can see it now. You know what I'm saying? Again, people that look like us, people that work with us, it's gonna be out there, bro. So just appreciate you, man. You got anything else you want to say?
Nah, man. I mean, I guess for the people who are listening, obviously I just want to, well, first and foremost, I want to applaud you for the platform that you're developing, what you're doing right now, how you're trying to educate our people on financial literacy. That's big. That's real big, because we need more people to continue to do that. We need people to be able to push, and for you to be able to provide an opportunity for those that might be novices, for those might be, kind of understanding a little bit, but still don't have the expertise, and for people to be experts, but for you to be in a position to do that and really create this platform, I love it and I respect it, and I have all the blessings in the world, and hope that this thing can grow to be real big and a big thing for you, because you deserve that, and you've been putting in a lot of work with this. And the other thing too is just that, for the people who are out there that are listening that still feel, I don't really know, or where do I start, or whatever the case might be, you have a lot of resources. This is a great resource. There's a lot of opportunities for you, whether it's his YouTube channel, whether it's the podcast, whether, it's his courses that he has, a lot of opportunities for people to be able to educate themselves and learn, utilize those things, reach out, ask questions, like, don't be afraid. Because I guarantee you, I don't care how, knowledgeable we might have sounded during this podcast on any topic that we've discussed, but we started at ground zero at some point in our lives and had zero clue. Right. So it's one of those things to where you can always continue to grow and continue to better yourself and figure things out. But lean on the people who do know. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and just continue to push yourselves to be better people. But at the end of the day, that's all we can do. But I think when we kind of have that mentality, it'll take us to a whole nother level.
Facts. That's facts. Continue to learn, ask questions, just ask questions if you don't know. And I mean, like, there's just so much information out there. And I guarantee you, if you're listening to this, at least one of your friends is probably investing in the stock market or doing something like that with their money. I guarantee you might not know it because, again, when we talk about conversation and raising awareness, you might not know it. But I promise you, we might all have just one friend, even if it's just one. It don't got to be the whole group chat. You just hit the group chat up. Just say, is anyone invested in this stock? Is anyone invested in real estate? And just see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, drop your Instagram name, but I know, you Instagram is James, man, so.
Yeah, man. See, I told you I'm not bougie. I don't have an IG. I don't want all that attention, man. I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling, trying to enjoy life.
This guy. Well, that makes one of us. I mean, I got my socials at this Elijah everywhere. It's like,
follow me on Twitter at shout out to my old school OG Twitter name at space _James. Shout out to Space Jam, a little play on words there. So that's so y'all know I'm OG on Twitter. I'm an OG on Twitter with that shit.
Oh, all right. Say the name one more time, just in case they didn't get it. Say it one more time.
Yep. So on Twitter, it's the word space _James.
All right. We gonna get my man's on IG eventually. One time for the one time.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually. We'll hit a milestone. We'll set a goal or something like that.
Facts.
If that happens, then I'll make an IG.
If Dogecoin hits, say it right now. If Dogecoin hits $1, you're gonna be on Instagram. That's just the way. That's just perfect. I mean,
I got you. Yeah. If Dogecoin, we're saying it now. Today's day. What is this? 4/26 at 8:52 p.m. Eastern time. If Dogecoin hits $1, I will make an Instagram. I got.
There we go.
I got you.
There we go. And on that note, y'all, we out again. Appreciate y'all for pulling up to define your legacy. I'm your host, Elijah. We out. See y'all.